Good morning, students. Myself, Mr. H.B. Havaldar. I am here to teach you the social science. Okay. Today we are about to start a new lesson from the geography. Which one? Geography. So, as we are about to start a new lesson from the geography, let me tell you a brief introduction about this lesson. So, once I am going to complete the brief introduction about this lesson, I will teach you each and everything in detail related to this lesson, that is India water resources. Okay, first of all, let us see what are all the concepts or what are the important things we are going to discuss in this chapter. The first thing what we are going to discuss in this chapter is importance of water resource. Next, major rivers of India. Next, irrigation meaning and its need. Next, types of irrigation and their distribution. And finally, we are going to discuss about multi-purpose river valley projects also. Okay, so once we are going to complete this lesson, we will be aware of these all things, that is the importance of water resource, major rivers of India, irrigation meaning and its need, types of irrigation and their distribution, and multi-purpose river valley projects. Okay, now I am going to begin with the first concept, which is none other than the importance of water resource. First of all, you know very well, water is one of the most important natural resource. Okay, so as it is one of the important natural resource, life is possible only because of water. Okay, so life is going to exist only because of water. So if there is no water, there is no question of life at all. It is not possible for us to imagine the existing of human life in the absence of water. For that reason, we are going to consider water as one of the most important resource, that too natural resource. Okay, we human beings are going to make use of this water mainly for drinking, mainly for cooking, washing, and for agriculture purpose, industries, and for many other reasons we are going to make use of this water. So usually we are going to make use of this water for our domestic purposes. So domestic purpose in the sense, maybe it is for drinking, maybe it is for cleaning, or maybe it is for washing or cooking, anything else. And apart from that, we are going to use the water for industrial purpose also, and we are going to use this water even for the agricultural purpose also. For that reason, we are going to consider the water as one of the most important resource. Okay, especially when it comes to our country, India. So India, it is endowed with a sustainable water resource. Endowed means it is having number of water resources. So how much water we need, abundant of water is available in our country. Okay, it has many rivers and it has and gets sufficient rainfall also. You know very well, in India we come across number of rivers, and at the same time we are going to we are going to receive the rainfall also. And apart from that, we are going to see the extensive of groundwater also. Okay, and it is having a vast reservation of underground water also. So especially when it comes to the water, we are not at all going to face any difficulty with water. But the thing is, it is very difficult for us to find the fresh water. Okay, so you know very well, 97% of the water at present what we are going to see on this earth surface now, that is not going to be known as the fresh water. That is the salty water, and it cannot be used for any purpose. So remaining other 3% of the water is there, that is going to be considered as the fresh water, and we can make use of that water only for every purposes. For that reason, At the same time, we need to understand it is very very essential for us to preserve the water. We need to take care about the water. Okay, water resource can be divided into surface water and groundwater. See, this is very important. This water resource is there, no? This water resource can be divided into again two parts. That is the surface water and the underground water. See, whatever the water we are going to see on the earth surface, that is going to be known as the surface water, and whatever the water we are going to see below the earth surface, that is going to be known as the underground water. Okay, next you see the surface water resources are mainly rainfall, rivers, lakes, tanks, springs. Okay, so usually whatever the water we are going to see on the earth surface, no, the sources of water are none other than rainfall, rivers, lakes, ponds, streams, and many other things. Okay, and India has extensive surface water resources. In the sense, at present India is there, no, it is having surplus abundant of surface water availability, and there is no scarcity of water at all, we can say. Okay, and for that reason the water is going to play a very very important role. Okay, so this is the importance of water. You just imagine, in our day-to-day life, is it possible for us to survive without water at least for one day? No chance at all. See, every half an hour or 1 hour we are going to drink the water. Okay, so we are going to make use of this water for several purposes in our day-to-day life. For that reason, what we are going to say means water is one of the most important resource. So this is the importance of water resources. Second thing is the major rivers of India. So in the beginning itself I said you, we come across number of rivers in our country. Especially the Indian rivers are there, no? The Indian rivers are going to be divided into again two parts. One is North Indian rivers, the other one is the South Indian rivers. Or in other words, we are going to say perennial rivers and non-perennial rivers. So let me clarify, what do you mean by perennial rivers and what do you mean by non-perennial rivers? See, perennial rivers are those rivers which are going to flow throughout the year, whatever the season it may be. Maybe it is the rainy season, or maybe it is the winter season, or maybe it is the summer season. In almost all the seasons, these rivers are going to flow with full of water. But whereas non-perennial rivers, that is the South Indian rivers, so non-perennial rivers are those, the rivers which are going to flow only during the rainy season. The source of water for this is rainfall. Okay, so the South Indian rivers are there, no? The South Indian rivers are going to flow only during the rainy season. Okay, and during the winter season and during especially summer season, no, it is very difficult for us to find the water in the river itself. Okay, so for that reason we need to understand perennial rivers and non-perennial rivers. So North Indian rivers, no, usually the North Indian rivers are going to originate from the Himalayas. Okay, in the sense they are going to take birth from the Himalayas. So in Himalayas what happens, you see, you know very well, the Himalayas are covered with ice or the snow. Anyhow, during the rainy season, the rain water is going to become a resource of water for the North Indian rivers, and especially during this summer season, no, ice or the snow what is occupied in Himalayas, they are going to be melted due to the high temperature, and when they are going to melt due to the high temperature, no, they are going to become source of the water for North Indian rivers during the summer season. Okay, for that reason those rivers are going to flow throughout the year. Okay, now you see the rivers of North India. Now we are going to discuss about some of the important rivers of the North India. Especially when it comes to the rivers of North India, you know very well, Ganga, Brahmaputra, Yamuna, Satluj. So like that, many other important rivers are going to be seen. River Indus, River Ganga, River Brahmaputra. So these three rivers are going to be considered as the most important North Indian rivers. Okay, and for your kind information, these all three rivers, no, they are going to originate, or they are going to take birth from the Himalayas. Okay, now first we are going to discuss about the river Indus. Which one? The river Indus. See, this river Indus is also going to be known as river Sindhu. What? River Sindhu. So don't get confused. Indus river and Sindhu river both are same only. Okay, so it arises near Mount Kailas. Which one? The river Indus or the Sindhu rises at near Mount Kailas in Tibet. Where? In Tibet. Okay, so initially it flows northwestwards. Actually, once it is going to take birth from the Himalayas, that is the near Mount Kailas, it flows northwestward direction. Okay, so then it flows towards the southwest. So first it is going to flow towards the northwest, and later it takes its direction towards the southwest and enters Pakistan. See, actually this river, no, it is going to take birth from the Mount Kailas in Tibet. So later it flows in the northwest direction, and later it takes southwest direction, and finally it enters into the Pakistan. So finally it joins the Arabian Sea. It is going to merge with Arabian Sea. So you know very well Arabian Sea, where you are going to see this one? In the western part of India. So in eastern part of India we come across Bay of Bengal. So this Indus river, no, or the river Sindhu, it is going to be merged into the Arabian Sea. Okay, so where it is going to merge? It is going to merge near Karachi. So near Karachi in Pakistan to the Arabian Sea. Okay, the total length of the river Indus is 2897 kilometer. The total length of river Indus is 2897 kilometers, of which 709 kilometer lies in India. 709 kilometers, no, it lies in India. Remaining other part is there, no, that all part is going to be seen in the Pakistan. So, but the major part of its course is in Pakistan, and it receives many tributaries such as Jhelum, Chenab, Beas, Ravi and Satluj. So every rivers are going to have their own tributaries. You know what do you mean by the tributaries? Tributaries are nothing but small rivers which are going to join the main river. Okay, small rivers which are going to join the main river are going to be known as the tributaries. Okay, this Indus river is also going to join with many of the important tributaries like river Jhelum, river Chenab, river Beas, river Ravi and river Satluj. Okay, so this is about the river Indus or the river Sindhu. So after the river Sindhu or the river Indus, next we are going to discuss about the river Ganga. It's very important. Listen carefully. Ganga river is going to be known as the holy river of India. There is a saying, many of you people might have heard this one. If we are going to commit any sins in our life, once we are going to take a bath in river Ganga, all our sins are going to be washed out. Okay, so for that reason only Ganga river is going to be considered as one of the holy river of our country. So let us try to understand this river Ganga, from where it is going to take birth and in which direction it flows, and what is the length of this river Ganga, and what are important tributaries are going to join the river Ganga also in detail. Okay, now you see the Ganga river is the largest river of India. First thing what we need to understand is, among all the rivers of India, the Ganga river is there, no? The Ganga river is the largest river of our country. And next you see, its total length is 2525 kilometer. You may ask, sir, Indus river is 2897 kilometer, no? Yeah, I am right. So yeah, you are right. But the thing is, among 2897 kilometer, only 709 kilometer of river course is going to be found in our country. Remaining it all falls in Pakistan. But whereas river Ganga, no, the river Ganga is having the length of 2525 kilometer and it flows in India only. For that reason only it is going to be known as one of the largest river of our country. Okay, it rises in the Gangotri glacier. So this river Ganga is there, no? This river Ganga rises, it means it takes birth in this Gangotri glacier. Do you know what I mean by glacier? Glacier is nothing but, again, it is the river of the ice. It is totally made up of ice. Okay, and from there only it is going to take birth. It flows towards the south and southeast direction. See, this river Ganga flows towards the south as well as the southeastern direction. Okay, so then enters into Bangladesh. See, actually once it is going to take birth from the Gangotri glacier, no, from there it flows towards the south, and after that it takes the southeast direction, and once it is going to take southeast direction, no, it enters into the Bangladesh. Okay, and once it is going to enter the Bangladesh, it is going to join with the river Brahmaputra. So Ganga river is going to join with river Brahmaputra. After it joins the Brahmaputra, it continues as Padma and finally flows into the Bay of Bengal. Now you see, once it is going to join with the river Brahmaputra, it is going to be continued as river Padma. In the sense, they are going to call this one as river Padma, and finally it is going to merge with Bay of Bengal. Okay, and next you see, it's a major tributaries, in the sense the rivers which are going to, small rivers which are going to join the river